Welcome back everyone to Data Science for Everyone. Today we're going to be looking at creating and populating a database with MySQL. Let's get started. So first off, let's go on and open up a SQL query. First off, we want to make sure that it's going to be using our bank database today. And then we're also going to go on and just kind of get started with talking about how you would go about kind of interacting with SQL queries using the VS Code MySQL extension. So first off, let's go on and just do something very basic. So select now, and we can go on and run this here, and you will see that it will pop up with now. Again, it's the current date and time. The next thing that we want to do, and again, this is part about what we're going to be doing today, is talking about, again, the different types of data that we would be working with. Today we're going to be working with characters, numeric, as well as temporal type data. We'll also be talking about how we can actually create up and cleanly make a table in SQL. So first off, let's go on and talk about table creation. Now there are three basic steps that we kind of want to follow. All right, so step one here is design. And again, that's talking about the basic design steps, what variables we want, maybe what tables we want. And then the second step here is going to be refinement. And this is where we kind of dive in a little bit deeper into what we want. Okay, so for example, instead of just name, we want maybe first name and last name, or first name, last name, middle. We also talk about whether we want IDs, what types of keys we want, what types of foreign keys we want in the different tables. And then finally, the last one is going to be actually building. So step 3 in here would be building the SQL schema. And that's actually kind of implementing this refinement stage into something that's actually usable and in the SQL language itself. So first, let's go on and maybe just talk a little bit about the design. Okay, so this data set, we want it to have a person's name, their gender, their birth date, their address, and maybe their favorite food. Okay, now a couple things we want in here, and let's talk about a little bit about the design on this. Well, one thing, names need to be a variable character. Okay, and again, names can be quite long, so let's say that you want them to be maybe 40 characters. Gender is going to be a single character, and it's either going to be, it'll be 1, and we're probably going to want this to be either male or female. And let me put that in parentheses. And then we want our birth date. Okay, and that is going to be a date object or a date type. Address will also be a variable character. And again, it can be pretty long, so we'll just say maybe 200. And same thing with the favorite food, variable character of maybe 200. So we'll do a couple specialized things with this gender later on, but we'll talk about that in the refinement stage, and particularly a lot whenever we're building. Now let's go on to the refinement stage. Okay, so first, every single table needs some sort of key, okay, a primary key for that table. It may need 2 of them. It may need a primary key, and it may also need a foreign key so that it can link to other databases. So the first thing then is, let's say we want a person ID here. This will be some sort of small integer. We want it to be unsigned. And then another thing that we are going to want with this, we want it to auto increment, okay? So this auto incrementation means that the first person we put in there will maybe get 1, then the next person gets 2, the next person gets 3, the next person gets 4, and then that way they have their own specific ID. So then we can also look them up. We can connect them to other different databases and tables. Even if they change their name, they change their address, they change their food type, any of that stuff, we can always link them back to that exact individual. Okay, that exact, maybe think about this as their account number even. So next thing in here, we want a first name, a last name. Okay, both of these are going to be of variable character, and let's say 20. We're cutting this in half and putting it for each of them. Okay, I'm going to put this here. Now, I'm going to add a new line. We want gender. Now, a couple things. Again, this will be a character, and it'll be either male or female. That's not going to change. We want in here birth date in here, and we want that to be a date type. Then let's also split up this address. Okay, so we want something like street, maybe. And again, this is a variable character of like 20. We have the city, the state, country, and postal code. And again, I'm just gonna make this short and say all of them are variable character of 20. And I think that will be good for our refinement. Again, we're just doing something relatively simple. Something that, okay, so one thing though, we did not discuss dealing with this food variable. Now, one thing that I would do with this, and what we should do, is create new table. All right, we'll actually create a new table for our favorite foods. Okay, and that would have what do we want in that? We would want the food itself, and we want that connected to the person's ID, so we can link the person ID to the table. So we'll also deal with that as well when we're actually creating up this schema. So I think that's going to be enough for just the basic refinement. So let's go and start building up the schema itself using actual SQL queries. So create table. This is going to be person. We're going to be working with this first section here. Okay, and so what do we want? We want person ID. Okay, this will be a small int, unsigned, and then we want this to be auto increment. Then we want first name in here, variable character of 20, last name in here, variable character of 20, and actually I know I'm going to be using this section a lot, so I'm going to just copy that. And let's also do in here gender, which will be a character of 1 in here, and then we want birth date. It's going to be a date. We want in here street, and again we'll just give it a variable character of 20, or street name may be longer, so let's say 30. And then let's do city, state, country, postal code. Then the last thing that we want in here is we want to make sure that we set up a constraint. Okay, so this is we want this person ID here to be actually a primary key. So let's primary key of the person table, primary key here, and we want this to be person ID. And so let's go on and run this. Oh, and what did I... Oh, does it need to be... Is this auto underscore increment? Is that what I need to actually do? Yeah. Okay, so here, I had it needs to be auto underscore increment. I just let it autofill there. So now it should be auto incrementing as we go. Now, the one thing that I actually messed up on, okay, is that, and let me actually just show you guys this. So I messed up, and I don't want this table anymore. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to drop the table for now. Yes, I want it dropped, because actually I want to change this gender. Okay, a couple things that we could do in here. We want to make sure to check that the gender is going to be either male or female. Okay, this makes sure that it actually falls into those categories. Another thing, and this is my own personal preference, okay, and that's actually to use the enumerate for male and female. Okay, because I want them, whenever this goes downstream, I'd prefer them to be in a numerical order of some sort, being either a 1 or a 0 or a 1 or a 2 or something like that. It's easier for us to do these types of calculations when we're doing machine learning and that type of stuff. So let's go on and actually rerun this. Okay, and then let's go on, and I'm going to comment this out. And I'm going to go down here, and we want something like, we want to describe the person data set really quickly so we can actually double check what we've created. So we can see here that everything was created. Now we have the field, so that's each of the names. We have the type, what type they are. We have whether they're null or not. And then we have the key itself, whether they're primary or foreign. And then we have some extras here. The only extras that we're going to see here is with this key. We want to make sure that it says here that it's auto increment. Okay. So the next stop for us is to make sure that we actually have our other table. Okay. So first off, we did create the person table. We also want to go on and create up the food table. So let's create table here. We want our favorite foods, and then let's do person ID here. Small int, again, it's going to be unsigned. Then let's do a food, which is a food, okay, which is variable character of 20. Here we want to create a constraint, so of our primary key for our favorite food. The primary key here is going to be both person ID as well as food. And then we also are going to want to create up another constraint in here, and that's going to be a foreign key for favorite food as well as person ID. And then let's do foreign key here, and again we'll do person ID, which is actually the foreign key, and this is going to be referencing in here person and the person ID. Okay, and let's go on and create that table, and let's go on and also comment this out, and let's go on and actually describe the favorite food table so that we can check everything out. And so here we see person ID is unsigned. They're both primary keys. Okay, so all of that seems to be working quite well. The next thing that we're going to want to do is actually go about populating and modifying the table. So first we'll want to maybe insert some data in there. So let's go on and insert the data. So first we want something like insert into person. Here we want person ID. We want first name, last name, gender, birth date, and then let's go on and give it some values. Here we want null because it's going to be the person ID is going to be auto incremented. We want Bob, Ross. He's a male. We also want this to be something like 1954, 02, 19. Again, I'm just making some stuff up here. And we can run this. Oh, and what didn't it like here? Whoops, I forgot to do that. Okay, so hold on real quick. What did I actually name that? Okay, so first mistake, again, always make sure that you read things. I'm going to go back up here so you guys can see what happened here. Where did it go? In here. Whoops. Birth data. I put birth data instead of birth date. Okay, so if we're wanting this to work, it's going to have to be birth data in here. And just for now, I'm going to actually just use that because I don't really want to have to go and redo the tables and anything right now. But we'll go through and I'll show you guys later on how to change the names of some of these. So let's go on and run this. It was added. We have a row. And so now then we can run this and check. So let's do something like select all from person. We can run this. And notice now we have person, and notice here it says 1, Bob Ross, male. It has his actual date of birth here. And then notice everything else that we left blank will wind up being null. Okay, so let's go on and maybe do something else, okay? Let's actually maybe just kind of play with some of the select statements itself. So let's do something like select person, ID, first name, last name, birth, data, from person, where person ID is equal to 1. Okay, so we can be very specific as well to run this. And again, it's going to give us the same information as well. But again, it's only the data that we actually put in. We can also grab in something like all of this information, and we can say something like where last name is Ross. Okay, can run that as well. It gives us the same information. And again, we only have this one, but if I change this to maybe boss instead, we run this, and again, it's not going to bring us up anything. Okay, because again, it doesn't have anything in there. Now let's go on and insert in some food into our favorite food table. Let's see here. What would we like to eat? Okay, so insert into we want the favorite food here. We want person, ID, food, values here. We want 1 and we want pizza. And you know what? Let's just do 1 for now. Let's add this. What didn't it like? Oh, and again, for Pete's sake, insert. Thank you. There we go. Okay, we added that 1 in, and let's go on and add in maybe a couple more. Okay, let's do insert into favorite food here. We want person ID, food, and we want values here 1 and Balza. Okay, and we'll do another one. Insert into favorite food. Here we want person ID, food, values 1, tacos. I think that'll be good for this. All right, and let's go on and maybe take a look and see what this actually is now. So let's do something like select all from favorite food. And notice something, okay? I wanted you just to see this. Pizza and tacos. Notice though, I also had favorite food is balza there, okay? Now it didn't actually run this, it just went and it ran to the last line. So if I want to run each of these, I need to make sure and run them individually. Otherwise they're not going to work. Otherwise I could also have in multiple inserts, and we'll talk about that later on. So here I want to make sure and enter that, and again it just kind of stops there. And so let's go on and comment that out, rerun this, and make sure that we have what didn't it like? I want this. Thank you. All right, so now we see here person ID, balza, pizza, tacos. And let's see what else we would like to do in here. You know what? Let's actually make a little bit more complex statement in here, and do something like select food from favorite food, where person ID is 1, and we want to order by here food. So then they'll be in alphabetical order. Let's go on and run. Excuse me. Why don't you like that? It is the right syntax. I know that is because it actually came out. Apparently there seems to be a bit of an error in this, because I don't know why it would be having that particular problem. So anyways, let's go on and maybe insert some more data into the person database. So let's do something like insert into person here. We want person ID, first name, last name, gender, birth rate, street, not birth rate. Again, this is going to be all kinds of messed up today, isn't it? Birth data, again, because it's a little weird. We want city, state, country, postal code. Values in here is going to be null. Jen, Ross, let's say, female, 1956-04-04. Then we want in here 54, no name, no name road, Little Rock, Arkansas, USA, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then let's go on and actually enter that. Oh, and it again. It's that key again. We want state. There we go. All right, so then now we have successfully put in that data. And let's go on and comment this out, and let's go on and do a bit of a select statement. Select person ID, first name, last name, birth data from person. All right, and again, it is working. So I'm not sure why the syntax highlighting is still working. Data, message, error found in your SQL. Syntax, check the manual that corresponds to MySQL server version at line 1. There is nothing wrong here. Okay, so again, we have our data. And let me just run that again so you guys can see it does have the right. Okay, so see, apparently it's running again perfectly fine now. So again, for you guys, if it keeps telling you an error but the data's coming up, don't worry about it, okay? So here we actually see that we have all of our data. We have Bob and Jen Ross with their birth dates, and notice here now that our person has been incremented, okay, to 2. And a couple things that we maybe want to do here is let me show you how to update the data, okay, so that we can make sure and get the correct information in there for people, okay? A lot of times you're going to have to update a database. So for example, we are missing Bob Ross's location data, his street address. So let's update person. We want to set the street equal to, again, I'm just going to make something up here. 1, 2, 3, someplace. Street. We want city here to be Boston. State to be Massachusetts. Country to be USA. And we want postal code in here to equal those numbers. Where in here person ID is equal to 1. Again, that's going to, again, we have to have this nice person key in here, otherwise it's not going to know who to actually grab. It's definitely better to always do it by the key, okay? Otherwise, again, you make sure that it's a primary key. It's very unique. Again, you don't want to try and do this to like 200 Bob Rosses if you have that many in your area. Okay, that was updated. So let's go on and double check what's going on. So I'm going to actually just go up and I'll undo this one and we'll run it. Okay, so now, whoops, and we want, let's grab everything from there. Okay, so now we have a street address, a city, a state, a country, and a postal code for Bob Ross and Jen Ross. So now it has actually filled everything in. Now, one thing that we can also do in here is, let's say that you want to go on and delete a person from your database. Okay, so you can use the delete from person where person ID is equal to 2, and we can run this. All right, and then if we go back up here to our select and we run this again, we will see now that there is only one person. Bob Ross is the only person that we have in here, and that is going to make sure that this is good for us. Now, a couple little things that we want to kind of also discuss here, okay, is non-unique primary keys can be a bit of a problem, okay? So particularly if you want to, so let me actually just go on and let's actually do that really quickly. So non-unique primary key. So if you're wanting to insert into person here, and we want person ID, first name, last name, and you know, I'm just gonna do first name and last name to save us some time. We'll do values, and here, instead of saying null, what if I say 1? Okay, because I want to force this person to have that ID, or maybe I'm just being negligent. Some person, okay, and we want to actually run this and we want to put this person in, this should give us up an error. Okay, because notice here it says a duplicate entry 1 from person primary. Again, it's going to fail. It should throw up an error for us saying that we cannot have multiple keys on there. We can also do something like a non-existent foreign key. Okay, so let's do something like insert into favorite food. Here we want person ID and their food. And let's say that we have values and we have the person ID and we say something like 444 and they want, I don't know, favorite food is ice cream. And we run this, it should also give us an error. And again, this is for the reason of this foreign key does not exist. Okay, and so that is actually very useful to us because again, it's telling us that this isn't going to work for us. So let's go on and figure out a couple other things. We can also do something like column value violations. All right, so this again, these are just all of these kind of basic things when we're creating up databases that we may be getting these errors back, and these are the reasons for those errors. So let's do update person, and we want to set gender equal to Z, where person ID is equal to 1. If I run this, it's going to be a failure because again, this we should have in here, it should only be male or female. Okay, it cannot actually be some sort of other because we set up our enumerate to be male or female, M or F in this instance. Let's do maybe one more in here and talk about using invalid dates. So let's update in here person. We want to set the birth data to equal something like December 01, 2020 in here, where person ID is equal to 1. Okay, failure because again, this is not in the proper type of formatting that we want. If you so wanted to change this, okay, you must actually format the string. Okay, so let's go on and actually format the string here. And so this one would be string to date function here, and then we need to go on and say what this is actually in. So B dash day dash here, and we want year. So this B, lowercase b, is this DEC. That's how we actually say that. So if you have January, it's JAN, August is AUG. Then we have a to date day, which is the %D in here, and then this year, if you want the full year, it is this capital Y in here. And so that, in this instance, will change. Oh, and what did it not like in there? Oh, it's because there. Okay, that's correct. The reason it didn't run is because I had this highlighted. So notice here that actually executed correctly. And if we go on and double check this, so let's do select last name, first name, birth data from person. Run this. Notice now that it actually updated and it actually put it in the same format that we had before. So if you have issues when you are uploading a date, okay, that's probably going to be it. And just remember that you need to go on and use this string to date conversion function in there. So I'm going to let this go for today. If you guys like this, please comment, subscribe, and hit that like button, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.